Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Commander's Forge. My name is Andy Bentley, and the Forge is an area for me to talk about magic, Commander, and anything else while I try and drag this whole mental health thing back to where it's supposed to be. Now, at least for the first part of today, I'm not going to be talking about magic because it's just kind of been the week from hell. And that's what I'm going to get into. So, this kind of starts on Wednesday. I was at work. I was feeling nauseous, so I came home early. I hit the bed around 1 p.m., slept till almost 9 or 10, got up, did a couple of things, was able to keep a couple of crackers down, went back to sleep, woke up, went to work on Thursday, left early for a dentist appointment. I had to leave around 1, had a tooth pulled, and then proceeded to be dead to the world for a couple of days. So I got home that night and I was out of it. I just went right to sleep. And then Friday was kind of a wash. I had one of those low grade headaches. The side of my face hurt. I was coherent enough to help pick up a car, so I drove somebody out so they could pick it up, and then I, did a little bit of grocery shopping. Mostly, I just needed bread for the next week, and then I came home and proceeded to pass out. Saturday was not much better. Anyway, so actually, I want to talk about a D&D thing that's not actually D&D. So, in the midst of wallowing because, my face hurt, I was scrolling on TikTok and I found a video from a group. I believe they're from New York City, called the Bards of New York. And it's from a campaign called The Golden Throne, or Gilded Thrones. Anyway, so it's not quite D&D. It's made to be more of an epic storytelling kind of thing. So each player built a character. And then they also made 2 side characters. And then the other players play those side characters. So it's like a smorgasbord of people able to interact in different ways, which is a really cool idea. And I've kind of just been marathoning my way through it. I'm 17 not chapters, episodes in, and it's really good. Really good. It really makes me want to finally get a group back together and play D&D, which I have been trying to do for the last couple of months. So I just, in this week where I have not felt particularly great, it's been nice to have that little bit of an escape. And yeah, it was enough of an escape that I wanted to kind of talk about it and touch on it a little bit. So when I say it's not quite D&D, there is still some dice rolling, but the dice rolling is secondary to the storytelling. And the way they built their characters is they have these stats that each get a die associated with it. So, like, if they're a really strong mage, their magic might get their d20, but then their brawn, which is like their physical abilities, might only get a d4. And so they have, everything from, they get a d20, a d12, a d10, a d8, a d6, and a d4. And then through the art of storytelling, they also get a +6 that they can apply to wherever, and they can split it up however they want. So if you are like the magiest mage that ever maged, you have a d20 +6. Or if you wanted to like break it up a little bit, you could do, are you an offensive mage? Cool. Then you're going to put your d20 into magic and then your d12 into fight. And you might split your 6 into 2 3s. Or perhaps you're more of like an agile fighter. You might forego putting everything into magic and put like your d10 into magic because you're still a mage, but you're more of a nimble fighter. So your d20 goes into your nimble ability, which is like your dexterity stat in this. So it's just a cool way to build out characters. And I kind of like the idea of this as a way to like test drive how you want a D&D character to be. Like, sure, these characters don't necessarily have classes or anything like that, but it would not be very hard to take them and kind of break them down into like, well, what would their base D&D class look like? Like, it's very easy to tell, oh, this would be a sorcerer because he's just like, his main shtick is like he makes golden flames. There's so many good character moments, and it really drives the character narrative of it all. Like, it is very, very easy to get invested in the story just in like the first 2 hours of the first episode. But yeah, so it's just something I've been nerding out about that I've kind of been using to keep my sanity the last few days. There's one thing they do that I've been enjoying is they do like a RP warm-up. And so what they'll do is they'll pose a question and then they kind of have to answer it in character. And they always state it as like, oh, because they live stream them, they want people like in the chat to like kind of do the same thing, like with any character like they have, or if they're writing a book or stuff like that. And it's been a good like mental workout to kind of take a character that's been in my head for literally years and kind of, oh, well, how would he do in this and that and the other thing? So, yeah. I don't know. I'm slowly working my way through what are basically weekly episodes that started last summer and are still ongoing. I believe they're on like episode 29 or 30. And I'm not yet. I haven't hit level. I have not hit episode 20 yet. But I'm working towards it, and there's a few scenes that I may have been spoiled on just from scrolling online, but I'm very excited to get there. That's really all I can say about it. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to record after this. Because, again, have not done a whole lot with magic in the last, 2 weeks. Anyway, I'll be right back. And I'm back. Now, I am not terribly interested in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set, but my cousin is a massive fan, and I'm a passing fan. So we are going to be doing the pre-release. I don't know how much more of it I'll be doing past that, but there are some cards in the set that I am excited to talk about. So I'm just going to go through and kind of give you like my favorite of each color so far. So I'm just going to go in Wooburg order, and here we go. First up in white, we have Leader's Talent, which is an equipment class. It's 1 and a white. Its base level is whenever you attack, put a counter on an attacking creature. For level 2, it's 2 and a white, and whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had a counter on it, you gain 2 life. And then level 3 is for 3 and a white. Whenever you cast a spell, put a counter on each creature you control. And that's the real thing I'm looking at here. It's not quite Cathar's Crusade, but it has enough utility that I think it's fine, basically. But yeah. In blue, I'm looking at Donatello Way with Machines, which is 2 and a blue for a 1/2 Mutant Ninja Turtle. Because, they couldn't fit Teenage on there. There wouldn't be enough room. But he has flying, and whenever an artifact you control enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on Donatello. So it's giving Flying Man, but cares about artifacts. Anyway, next up in black, we have Ninja Teen, which is 2 and a black for another equipment or enchantment class. Its base level is whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. And then level 2 is 1 and a black for creatures you control get +1/+0 and have menace. And then level 3 is a single black, and it says creature cards in your graveyard have sneak for 3 and a black, and you may cast creature spells from your graveyard using their sneak ability. So, clearly, first thing here is it goes into, aristocrat decks, but then your second one is just, anything that wants to be turning stuff sideways, and then the third one gives you a repeatable reanimation, basically. In red, we're looking at Raphael the Night Watcher. I might end up building him because I've been looking at a mono red deck since I took apart the last one that I had to build something else. He's 2 red for a 2/3 Mutant Ninja Turtle. He has sneak for 1 red, and this one actually has the reminder text for what sneak is. So you may cast the spell for its sneak cost. If you do, return an unblocked attacker you control to hand during the declare blocker step. He enters tapped and attacking, and in this case, he says attacking creatures you control have double strike. So, yeah. Next up in green, we have Michelangelo Weirdness to 11. It's 1 and a green for a 1/1 Mutant Ninja Turtle. When he enters, you create a mutagen token. That is an artifact with 1 tap, sacrifice it to put a counter on a creature, activate only as a sorcery. And it says if 1 or more +1/+1 counters we put on a creature you control, that many +1 +1/+1 counters I put on that instead. So it's, the whatchamacallit on legs. Hardened scales. There we go. And, never gonna say no to another one of those. Now, in the dual colored stuff, actually I have a couple I want to talk about. but they all have hybrid manas. So the first one we'll talk about is Raph and Mikey Troublemakers, which is 5 and then 2 hybrid Gruul, so red-green, for a 7/7 mutant ninja turtle. It has trample and haste, and whenever they attack, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Again, so slightly different from the mono red Wrath. This one is very much big dumb Gruul stuff, which always a fun, hey, it's the end of the day, let's get one quick game in and let's just, ramp out to Raph and Mikey and then start dumping stuff on the board. The other one I grabbed was Raph and Leo, Sibling Rivals. So that is 1 and then 2 hybrid Boros, or red-white, for a 2/4 mutant ninja turtle. And whenever they attack, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap 1 or 2 target attacking creatures. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. And who doesn't love additional combat phases, particularly in Boros colors? Now, yes, this does only untap 2 things, but again, sometimes that's really all you need to end up putting somebody down. And then there was one artifact I wanted to touch on, and it's probably the stupidest of them, if you ask me, but it's the skateboard. It's a single mana for an equipment. When it enters, tap target permanent. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has haste, and it equips for 1. I love equipment that give haste for not a lot of mana. And this is something like if you played a 1-drop on turn 1, you can play this on turn 2, tap down their blocker, and then get in for 2 that turn, or however much you get with that. And any subsequent turn where you can play it and another thing and give a big thing haste while tapping down their best blocker, it seems like a really sweet card. But yeah, that's basically it. I've, once again, not been spending a ton of time looking at stuff. And yeah, I'm just gonna go to the pre-release with my cousin that's on Friday. Yeah, this Friday. And we'll see what happens. But other than that, I think I'm gonna call it here. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. All of my links can be found in my link tree in the description below. I would like to thank Ian Foss and Cody Mulvey of the band The Crypt for allowing me to use music for my opening and ending, along with Nate and Erica Jacobs for making my original logo. And I would also like to thank Christina McNichol for creating my new logo. And I'll see you next time.